What if instead of doom scrolling, you picked up a book instead? How many books do you think that you could read in a week? That's the purpose of today's reading vlog. I am going to be swapping my phone time for reading time. And let's see how many pages I can get through. Hi friends, welcome back. I'm behind on my reading this month. I've been fighting a reading slump and we're not even gonna talk about it. We're just gonna keep trying to plow through and come out on the other end victorious. Okay, that's what this vlog is. Because what else am I supposed to do if I'm having trouble reading than to make myself read more? This could be exactly what I need, or I can go down in flames and it'll be the exact opposite of what I need. So let's see which one it is. I have done a vlog like this in the past. I had a lot of fun. I had really good results and I think that it's time to do it again. I will be swapping my screen time for reading. And guys, it's been a rough week. I don't know if Apple has changed how they let you view your screen time in the past or not recently. Maybe it's always been like this, but apparently you can only see the current week that you're in terms of screen time. Like right now I'm in the day, so if I go over to week, it'll show that week, but only up until that first Sunday. And now today's Thursday, currently, right now. It is March 7th. So like I can't scroll back to wow, I'm so glad that you guys could be here for this this moment. Holy shit. All right, there's a lot of hours that we're gonna have to be reading because apparently my screen time has been a little bit out of control. Okay, well, it wasn't clear that I was able to swipe to get to the previous week. And I had already made a cute little like bullet journal spread with what hours I have to read for this video. So before we get into what book I'm reading, what's going on in terms of the schedule, let me go actually figure out the schedule. Hold on. Okay, we figured it out. I don't know why I had to be on camera in order to actually figure it out, but now it's actually legitimate, okay? So last Thursday, I was on my phone for 2 hours and 50 minutes, which actually is pretty good. So that means that we will be reading for 2 hours and 50 minutes today. I feel like that's pretty doable. Easing ourselves into this experience, and I will have you know that I have already read for 30 minutes today because this morning I finished Kings of the Wild by Nicholas Eames. This was last month's Greenhouse Compendium pick, and if you don't know what that is, then you need to watch my Spin the Bottle TBR videos. One, because they're chaotic and very fun, but there's a jar that I choose from every single month within that game, which are all physical TBR books that I own, recommended to me from my patrons. So I choose from that every month. This was last month's pick. Finished it this morning. Had a grand old time. This is like a 4 to a 4.5 star read. It was so funny. The band of characters was just so great. And I'm excited to read more from this author because I had a grand old time with it. I think it helped me not go into a complete reading slump, but time will tell. So 30 minutes under my belt, but now it is 1:50 in the afternoon and I have not read any more because I've been doing like housekeeping things. I wrote up a review for this book for my Patreon. I did a little like diary journal entry for the little bookwormies over there as well. And I also had to prep for this Sunday's video. I do like seasonal book release radar videos, and obviously we're going into spring, so I had to compile the list of all the books that I want to put on your guys' radar for spring. So getting all of those titles ready, having it all organized, like, it took a lot of time. It took longer than I thought it would. But now I think I'm ready to like have a snack and then read until 4 p.m. because that is when I have a meeting with my coordinator for my Trova trip that we're hosting. If you didn't know, Caleb and I are hosting a trip to Bali this July, and it's not too late to join if you want to come frolic around beautiful Indonesia with us. We're so excited. Would love to have you join us, but I have a very quick meeting with my coordinator for that. So until then, I will be picking up The Book That Wouldn't Burn by Mark Lawrence. I'm really excited about it. This is last month's book club pick in the book club that I run over in my Patreon, and our live show is this Saturday, so obviously I need to read it now. The only thing I've read in it so far is the prologue, and it is intense already, dare I say. It literally says the first arrow hit a child. That was the opening line. Like, that's all that's on the page. I feel like I'm gonna be in for a wild time. This will be my first Mark Lawrence book, and I am excited. It was a contender for the Reading Booktuber's Best Books of 2023 video, but it didn't quite make the cut, so I'm really excited that my patrons wanted to read this, and now here we are, reading it. What a time to be alive. So welcome to the vlog. So happy to have you here. Let's go start the clock. So I made it to a total of 22 pages before I hyperfixated and decided to film the spring release video today instead of tomorrow. Honestly though, I can't even be upset because it's a shorter requirement today at 2 hours and 50 minutes. And I already did an hour and 21 minutes so far today. So I only have like an hour and a half more, give or take. And I think that that's easily doable this evening. You know, like I filmed the video, which it's a little bit more of an intense video. Like it has high preparation time as well as high filming time, but the editing time should be a little bit better because it's a lot of just like straightforward talking about the synopses and things like that. So I think that tomorrow I'll be able to edit it pretty quickly. Tonight we already took Avi out on her evening walk. I already know I'm going to be cooking chili for dinner, which is really nice. So it should be a pretty straightforward evening, I guess is the point. So I will be sitting down to continue the book that wouldn't burn later. But again, I'm only on page 22. No real big thoughts yet other than this first character that we're following. She lives in a like tiny settlement in the dust, which is very like Dune-esque. Those are the immediate vibes that I got from like her settlement where she's from. We have yet to meet the other character who's the boy. I don't know his name yet, but we're gonna meet the boy later tonight, I'm guessing. In these 22 pages, however, it has been a little bit like intense. Like there's a lot going on already. I'm excited to keep going. I think that the writing style is one that I like already, but I'm excited to pick it up later and experience a little bit more of the story. So we will see how it goes. Good morning, or good afternoon, I guess. It's like 1:30 in the afternoon. And guess what I haven't done? That's right, read. Avi wants to go on an afternoon WALK, so that's what we're gonna do as soon as I'm done, I promise. She's pitter-pattering. Okay, good morning. Welcome to day 2. It is Friday. Yesterday's challenge was to read for 2 hours and 50 minutes, and I got to 2 hours and 39 minutes. So I was very close. One thing that I had forgotten completely to tell you, and let alone to factor into my evening, I had to partake in an hour-long work phone call for the unit I work on at the hospital. There's like a little team that I'm a part of on the unit that has a monthly meeting, and I had forgotten that it was tonight. So I had to call in and do that for an hour, which really put a wrench in my evening because I know for a fact I would have surpassed yesterday's goal, but I was just so sleepy. I was falling asleep on the couch trying to get the last few minutes in, and at that point it's just not worth it. You're not retaining what you're reading, so I was like, let's go to bed. But fear not, those 11 minutes will be added onto today's requirement, which is 5 hours and 1 minute. But now in reality it is 5 hours and 12 minutes, right? Okay, now the fact that it's already 1:30 in the afternoon and I have not even started reading is a little bit intimidating, but I have had a very productive day so far. So this Sunday's video is that spring releases video. It takes so much time. So I've spent my entire morning editing and finalizing that. So right now it is uploading. I finished it. I'm really proud of it and I'm really excited for it to go out. So now that I have the majority of my like work done, I can kind of get ready to like settle down and read for the evening. This weekend I'm also doing a readathon with my patrons because this month I turn 4. This is 4 years on BookTube for me and it's really exciting. So this month's readathon theme was just like a birthday party, just like 4 years. The little graphic I made is so cute. All of the pets have the cutest little birthday hats on them and it's adorable. But we're doing sprints with Steph and Jan later tonight, so I am very excited. And right now we're just going to pop on the audiobook of The Book That Wouldn't Burn, enjoy a little rainy day walk with Avi, and come back and enjoy some indoor rainy day reading. I made some extra coffee earlier so that I can have iced coffee here in the afternoon. Big thinking. So let's go. We've got 5 hours, 5 hours of reading to do today, so we better go start. Let's do it. Minor change of plans. I started listening to The Book That Wouldn't Burn like as I was getting ready to take Avi out, and it's just a book that I have to sit down and focus on. For me, at least right now in the very beginning of the book, it still doesn't make enough sense to me to be able to listen to it and do other things. I really have to put my full focus on it. So another book that was on my TBR for this weekend readathon I'm doing with my Patreon is actually Crying in H Mart. So I'm going to start this audiobook while we go on our little walk. You wanna go outside? Come here. You wanna go inside? Yes. Oh, okay, let's do it. So yeah, we're gonna start Crying in H Mart. This is Michelle Zauner's memoir. She's actually the lead singer for Japanese Breakfast, and I love her music so much. I've heard this is a very emotional read, and I have been wanting to read it. I've heard nothing but great things, so we're gonna start it today and maybe cry. checking in. It's almost 5 p.m. now, and I have 2 hours and 38 minutes underneath my belt. Still quite a ways to go, but that's okay because I hopefully just have reading on the docket for later, other than like cooking and eating dinner and also being with my husband. So we're gonna do our best this evening, but I wanted to kind of pop in before Caleb got home because I haven't actually given you a synopsis for the book That Wouldn't Burn by Mark Lawrence because I haven't really understood it. I think this is one of those books that is confusing as all hell until you get all of the information. Like, I finally got to page 158, that's chapter 19, this far into the story, which that's intimidating because I have so much more to read before 11 a.m. tomorrow, because I don't know if I told you, but this was last month's book club pick, and the book club live show discussion for my Patreon is tomorrow at 11 a.m. So I should have not hyperfixated on editing Sunday's video today. I should have done that tomorrow after the live show, but I didn't think about it. I just didn't think about it. So, you know, that's why I had such a huge coffee, and I will probably be staying up a little bit late tonight to try to read a lot. It's fine. Everything's fine. But anyways, yeah, this is a book that I think will only start to make sense the more information that you receive from it. So again, I've made it to chapter 19 and things are finally starting to make sense a little bit more. At least we're following two different point of views. One of them is Lavira, who grew up in the dust. It's very like Dune-esque, like in like the very wild, treacherous parts of this world. This book has many worlds, but that's a different thing that I can't even begin to get into because I still don't understand it yet. But in the world that Lavira is in, there's a thing called the dust, and it's, like I said, very Dune-esque. There are, was it owl bears? Dust bears, maybe? I don't know. Enemies that hide underneath the sand, and they'll like pop out, they'll try to kill you. Like, it's a very like treacherous place to live, and this is where she has grown up. She's lost both of her parents. She lives with her aunt, and the story opens up with her and her civilization being like uprooted and kind of attacked by these things called the Sabbers, which is another just horrifying creature. And these creatures are taking them to some place that we don't know, but then some warriors or some soldiers save them from the Sabbers, and that is when Lavira gets brought to the city, which she has always had this dream of going to the city. She's never seen it up close, but now she's going to be there under like the most traumatic circumstances. So there's been a lot of things with her that have been really interesting to read, and the guilt and the sort of idea that now she's having to grapple with the losing everyone that she's ever known, and she's living and growing in this new city, which is exciting but also really scary because she doesn't even know how to read or write, and that is the only way that you can have a job of substance within this city. But she finds a friend, an older friend named Ute that I really like. I hope that it's not misplaced because I feel like he's a really good person. I really hope that that's true, but her storyline is starting to like come to fruition. I'm finally starting to like understand, and she's like working within the library now as a like initiate. I don't know if that's correct terminology, but then we have this other main character whose name is Ivar, and his is the one that's like the most confusing because his point of view, he's living like inside some part of the library, and he's living here with his like adopted brothers and sister, and they've all been separately taken from their worlds by this thing called the mechanism. The mechanism is a thing that if you go into it with a book in your hand, then the mechanism will create that world within the book around you so you can experience the book in whatever way you want, like literally like physically, viscerally, I think, all of these things. That's what I'm gathering, at least. I'm really doing my best. And it's a really cool idea, but I don't understand like what they're doing there, and neither do they. You know, like the characters don't understand either. But the synopsis talks about how these two main characters, their lives and their worlds will start to intertwine, and I'm starting to understand that a little bit more now. So if you are trying to read this book or are nervous about it, like, my best advice is to keep going because it doesn't make sense. You're not crazy. It's taking quite a bit to actually grasp what's going on. So far, the world building is very slow. I think my only critique is that for my enjoyment and for my mind, I need more explanation. Like, I understand the like wanting to build slowly and letting you draw your own conclusions, but it is so stressful for me. There are so many times where I'm reading this and I'm like, but just, what is that? Like, just, can we please just, like, give me a kernel, just a kernel of information that helps me? Please, I'm begging you. And I know that these types of books, like, later on, it'll be more rewarding because you worked so hard to understand, you know? And that's fine. I just, you know, am doing my best. But that being said, Caleb is about to be home. It's around 5 p.m. We will take Avi on a walk, plan dinner, but then we have reading sprints starting at 6 p.m. my time, so just in 2 hours. Hour, actually. So yeah, I think this is starting to go a little bit better though. I'm excited to pick it up. I'm a little less frustrated and more excited to see where it goes now. So that's good. That's relieving because I was really worried. I was very nervous. And before I end this update, I did start listening to Crying in H Mart as well during Avi's walk, and it's the way that I started crying in the literal first chapter. Like, I was maybe 20 steps away from my house and I had started tearing up. Like, everyone told me that this book was going to be emotional, but I thought it was going to build to it. Like, it was emotional immediately. It's really fun that the author narrates the book, so I'm really already enjoying that. I'm excited to keep going. I know it's gonna hurt, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to reading and finishing that this weekend as well. But that being said, Caleb just got home, so I'm gonna go unlock the door, let him in. He has keys, but we just do that for each other. And I'll be back so soon, hopefully with even more updates.
You were always smarter. I was the one to tag along. I remember how we started to realize we're miles apart. Strange motions.
Good morning. I didn't finish my coffee in time, so then it got cold, and instead of heating it up, I decided to just toss in some chai concentrate and a few ice cubes, and now I sort of have an iced dirty chai. It'll do the job. Wanted to come tell you that yesterday I successfully hit my goal of 5 hours and 12 minutes because 11 of those minutes were crossed over from the previous day, and I did 5 hours and 23 minutes. Look at that cute little forest that I got going on. And now today is Saturday, so last Saturday my screen time was 3 hours and 24 minutes. And believe it or not, I already have an hour and a half under my belt today. It is now, wow, it's already 3 in the afternoon. I thought I was doing so good. I was like, wow, I'm so ahead of it. I mean, that's fine. I worked out this morning and listened to Crying in H Mart by Michelle Zauner. I got to 60% of that, so it's going really well. Obviously, it's very emotional. I really like how Michelle is telling her story. I'm really enjoying all of like the insights, the grief, the cultural components of her upbringing. I just think that she's a really interesting person, and I think that what she has to say and how she's saying it is really, really well done. And I'm really enjoying hearing from her. So I'll definitely finish it, if not today, then tomorrow. I think I'm going to sit down and start The Book That Wouldn't Burn again. Oh yeah, because yesterday I told you that my book club meeting was today at 11 a.m. and last night I was chatting with my patrons and a lot of them were like, Sid, just push it. We don't care. Like, push it to a different day. It's not that deep. And I was like, it feels deep. It feels like I can't do that. But all of them are so sweet, and quite a few of them were like, no, I haven't even finished it and I would love to be at the discussion. So it was decided, forcibly, lovingly decided by my patrons for me to push the live show. So now that's happening this next Wednesday, which is great because I definitely think that I could have finished The Book That Wouldn't Burn last night / this morning, but I don't know if I would have like comprehended it enough to like actually enjoy the book to the extent that I think I can. So I'm still on page 282, which is still pretty good. I mean, it's a little over halfway or maybe directly halfway, but honestly, it's been really nice because last night the reading sprints that I did with Steph and Jan were more chill. I didn't have to stress as much, and mostly I got to sleep in this morning, which I haven't been able to do in quite a while, actually. We wake up early every day. So I went to bed with no alarm set, woke up feeling a lot better, actually. Go figure. Then I decided to work out and start listening to Crying in H Mart, like we already talked about, showered, and now I'm all like fresh, clean, and have been doing reading sprints with my patrons all day. So it's been great. It's been good. Everything has been working out for the better. But I think what I want to do is sit down and get back into The Book That Wouldn't Burn. I finished everything that I had to do today. I made the thumbnail for my spring releases video, which took me a hot minute, which I was listening to the audiobook of Crying in H Mart while I did that as well. There was just a lot of book covers that I put behind me on that thumbnail, and it takes a lot of time to do that in and of itself, so, but I'm happy with how it turned out. Caleb is busy doing like office things for his new business all day today, or shall I say girl bossing, and and so I'm just gonna sit and read. The reading sprint that we're in actually just ended, so I gotta go jump back in there, but just kind of wanted to update you and say hi, hello. We're in for just like a cozy Saturday, which I absolutely love. I honestly love our weekend readathon so much because we're literally just hanging out all day, pretty much every day of the weekend, and it's just my favorite thing. Okay, I'm gonna go do the reading sprints, get back into the book that wouldn't burn, and I'll come back a little later.
It's cold today.
We thought it was spring. It was actually fool's spring.
It was full spring.
Good morning. We're obviously on Avi's morning walk. Wanted to update you. Yesterday, I was supposed to read for 3 hours and 24 minutes, and I actually got 3 hours and 36 minutes, so I got that done. That amounted to 193 pages, and I'm not really proud of the page count that I've gotten so far in this vlog, honestly. I feel like it's lacking. Like, it's fine because I feel like I have to be reading the book that wouldn't burn a little bit slower to actually understand what's happening. Do I still understand what's happening? No, not really. It's really confusing. It's a very confusing book, and it's a little bit frustrating because I feel like Mark Lawrence is a talented writer, but at the same time, I don't know if I am enjoying his writing because the way that he's describing things isn't very like conducive to me being able to picture what's going on. And I'm a very visual person, so it's, for whatever reason, very difficult for me to actually like immerse myself within the story because I don't actually understand everything. But at the same exact time, I am enjoying the story, so it's a really weird thing that's going on within my brain. But I do plan on finishing that book today, as well as Crying in H Mart, because I do think that I could finish that in like an hour, honestly. And that being said, today's Sunday. I have to read for 4 hours and 25 minutes today because last Sunday, that's how long I was on my phone. It is also the final day of the weekend readathon that I'm doing with my Patreons. So, you know, we're set up to be productive and actually get some pages in today, which is good. I do have goals of finishing both of those books. I do think it can happen. Why are you watching me?
Because I'm interested to learn about what I have in store for my day today.
What do you have in store for your day, Caleb?
Well, I guess I will be getting groceries. With no help.
I knew that was gonna come up. We can listen to Crying in H Mart in the car. What do you mean no? I mean, we could be quick.
I've gone back into it all. I don't mind the reasonable amount of trouble, and we're so much better together this time around. And the way I feel tonight was
Caleb did end up going to the grocery store by himself. Shout out, we love him a lot. And I stayed back and I finished Crying in H Mart. Many tears were shed during this story. It is basically a memoir about Michelle Zauner's life. I really loved her writing and like the story that she told. I know it's like the story of her life, it's a memoir, but like the way that she told it was really engaging. I loved the reoccurring theme of food and how important it was that she was able to cook with her mom and how she came back to it and kind of helped heal her wounds. Because in this, she's talking about how her mother got cancer and ends up passing away from said cancer. And of course, that's also not the only thing that's talked about within this book, but it was really, really good. And I'm so happy that I finally read it. I'm sad that it took me this long to read it, but shout out to my Spin the Bottle TBR because I landed on a tarot space that had me pick a memoir or nonfiction. And that's the crazy thing because I was going to read this month anyways, but that spin and that tarot card pull literally pointed to this one. So it was meant to be, and it was really great. I'm giving this for sure a 5 stars. And then in the B-roll, you probably saw this little guy pop up, which is Serious Concerns by Wendy Cope. It is a poetry collection. I had forgotten that I put it on my wish list, and two of my patrons, Chris and Claire, sent this to me as like a happy 4th birthday gift because this month in March is 4 years on BookTube, which is crazy. But yeah, they sent me this and I immediately started reading it, so I'm like halfway through. I must have seen a couple random Wendy Cope poems somewhere on Instagram, and then that led me to look up her work and find this collection because the descriptions of it must have drawn me to it because obviously she has many collections of poetry and I'm really enjoying it so far. I like that she is talking about a couple serious topics, but she's also sort of like a silly poet. Like there are a couple just like for fun and light-hearted ones as well. And I like that she also has poems that rhyme. I like rhyming poems. I think it brings me back to like my childhood of trying to write poems, and it's like a cozy feeling when I find poems that actually have rhyming aspects to it. But yeah, I'm really enjoying this. So I'm going to probably finish this either today or tomorrow. I'm gonna just slowly read it. I'm not trying to like blow through it since it is a poetry collection. I like to like sit and think a little bit about them. But yeah, this was really exciting that it just showed up on my doorstep. Thank you so much, Chris and Claire, once again. I made some afternoon tea. I'm going to get back into the book that wouldn't burn. I honestly cannot wait to be done with it. I feel bad for saying that, but also I'm excited to read something else. We are currently doing reading sprints again with my patrons. We have a movie night later. I had a poll with a bunch of different like movie franchises that they were able to choose from, and National Treasure actually won. So we're starting that little franchise tonight. We're gonna watch National Treasure 1, and I'm actually really excited. I haven't seen that movie in a really long time. Kayla and I used to quote it all the time, you know, on our nights out. But yeah, that's exciting. So that's happening later. This sprint still has about a half hour left, so I'm going to get at least 30 minutes of this in and try to get back into the story a little bit. But yeah, wish me luck.
I'll let you go, just need some time. At your own pace, you need to find your way. I know now you'll never change your mind for something that matters to me.
It seems like this vlog has become just a game of catch up, so let's catch up. Okay, first of all, it is Tuesday. Let's recap how Sunday and Monday went. If you remember, I said that I work on Monday, so I wasn't going to like do a new set of hours on Monday because I work for 12 to 13 hours a day on the days that I work at the hospital, so I physically don't have the energy nor the time to read for hours on end outside of the 30 to 45 minute lunch break that I'll get sometimes. So Monday I was going to use as a like free day, sort of like a catch up day if I needed, especially if I got a lunch break, which I did. So let me tell you about it. Sunday I was supposed to read for 4 hours and 25 minutes. And Sunday was the last day of the weekend readathon that I was doing. We ended the whole thing with a movie night where we watched National Treasure together, and it was, man, like one of my favorite things ever. Movie nights with my patrons are so hilarious. It's actually unfair. Unfair to who? I don't know. I guess the people who aren't in the greenhouse, but we watched National Treasure together and it was the best thing. It was so much fun. The chat was just chaos incarnate and I had tears rolling down my cheeks. It was so great. And after we ended the sprints, ended the movie, I did read for another, I think, hour or so, and I ended with 3 hours and 45 minutes. So that was 40 minutes short of my goal for that day on Sunday. However, like I said, Monday was a work day for me and I was using it as a catch-up day. So I only needed 40 minutes to hit that previous goal. And would you believe it, I actually got a lunch break and I did read for 40 minutes on that lunch break. What a time to be alive. So I was going into today, Tuesday, with a fresh slate. I didn't have to use any hours to catch up. To this point, have completed all of the hours required of me. And now it's Tuesday, 4:30 p.m. at that. I've had a very long day. I had a very stressful like meeting thing that I had to go to this morning. Then I had to go to a class for work, and then I had about an hour and a half in between that class and my annual OBGYN appointment. I always schedule things on the same day so that I have like one day of horrible stress and then, you know, it's all over, I guess. That happened to be today, but thank God for my best friend Michelle because she was able to meet me in that like hour and a half break and we had tacos, we got a coffee, and she kind of brought me back down. After my annual, I stopped and got some oat milk, a little half loaf of local bread, and of course coffee beans as well. I wanted to have some like retail therapy, of course at a bookstore, but on Tuesdays, most bookstores in Indianapolis are actually closed because their weekends are Monday, Tuesday. And since I had a stressful day, I didn't feel like driving any more than like my route home. So on my way home, there is a Goodwill. So I stopped there and actually picked up Ancillary Justice by Ann Leckie. I don't have any Ann Leckie books, and this was sitting there. It looked like it was in pretty good condition. This is book 1 in a series. Is it the Imperial Reach trilogy, or is that a different series that she has? I'm not sure, but I read the first page and I'm intrigued. I'm not often in a sci-fi mood, but I have heard really good things about this. It has won a lot of awards, and for $5, I mean, you can't really go wrong. So I did pick this up, which, you know, was good. It scratched the itch, so to say. Got home, took Avi on a very nice walk because it is very nice outside. And then I sat down and I finally finished this book, the book that wouldn't burn. This is the book that wouldn't end. Guys, I've kind of talked about a lot of the issues that I was having with like being very confused a lot of the time, feeling like I was walking around in like a dark room and I was just expected to understand what was going on. Like by the end, things were explained, things were sort of like plot twisted and, you know, surprising, I guess. And this is a book that I feel horrible not liking because I do think that it has merit. Like I think it's written well, but I didn't like it. I think the way that we received the information about the world building and the character development was just too disjointed for how I intake information. Like even at the end of the book, I still don't think that I could explain everything that goes on within it, and I just finished it like 10 minutes ago. And I mean, that's fine because it does sort of have that like almost like Starless Sea-esque puzzle piece vibe where everything is interrelated and is part of a bigger picture and you have to kind of figure it out. It's all like a puzzle, right? And I usually like that, but I honestly, like, it must just be the writing style. I am open to trying other books by this author, but I genuinely don't know if I will continue this series. I don't know. Right now, no, I won't. That could change. Like, I know that this is such an unpopular opinion because so many people love this book. Like, I'm sure I already said, this book almost made it on Reading Booktuber's Best Books of 2023 video this year. And on Goodreads, this book has mostly 5-star and 4-star ratings. So my rating is really difficult for me because, like I said, I don't think that it is a bad book. I think it's interesting and I like the storyline. I like the little random bits of sort of like poetic thoughts that Mark Lawrence will put inside his storytelling. Like I have quite a few brackets of like, oh, I like how he said that, or I like that little insight to this world that he provided. But the rest of the story and the rest of the writing was just so dense for me. It's just really difficult. Like I am so glad that I'm done reading this. Like I am so happy that I don't have to, I have to think about it a little bit longer because this was last month's book club pick and we have our live show discussion tomorrow night. After tomorrow night, I don't want to think about this book again for a very long time. I felt it putting me into a slump and I think, unfortunately, that I would have DNF'd it if it wasn't a book club pick. I'm so sorry. But for the purpose of this vlog, we are done with it. Thank God. Since I just finished it, the update on time for today is I have focused for 1 hour and 1 minute, and I have to focus for 4 hours and 42 minutes today. And let's be honest, I don't think that that is going to happen. I'm going to keep reading something, like I'm going to start a new book, but I have a feeling that I'm going to have a couple hours probably roll over to tomorrow. Honestly, I just feel like I've been through the ringer today, which would be fine because tomorrow's requirement is only 2 hours and 43 minutes. So there is room for me to sort of catch up tomorrow, which is probably what's going to happen. And I'm okay with that because I might just need to play some Switch later and just not do a single thing because it's been a day. Friends. It's almost 5 p.m. so Kayla will probably be home in the next like 20 minutes or so. And in that time, I think I might start the next book that I'm going to pick up, and that is Everyone on This Train is a Suspect by Benjamin Stevenson. I want something short. I want something that I can just enjoy and not have to think about so strongly. Even though this is like a murder mystery and I'll be like using some brain power to like keep track of things, like I can't do a fantasy right now. This just, I just can't even look at it at the moment. I just want something lighthearted and sort of funny. And I know like murder mystery isn't necessarily lighthearted and funny, but like the way that Benjamin Stevenson wrote the previous book in this series, which was Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone, that's the writing style I want to read. That's what I'm trying to get at. A little bit tongue-in-cheek, a little bit funny, like, I don't know. I just need something else. So I'm going to start this tonight and I will come back with like initial first thoughts, but yeah, wow. Just need to decompress a little. You know what I'm saying? Not every day is going to be it and today is not it, and that's okay. I'm gonna do what I can to sort of like turn it around and have a good, cozy, restful evening. So let us commence the evening routine.
Is not only to disperse the interest and break the direct thread of logic, but to take an unfair advantage of the reader. If there is Rule 9, SS Van Dyne's 20 Rules 8. A sequel isn't it, mem? The AMWF extends a very special welcome to our guest of honor.
Hi, full disclosure, it is about 10 p.m. now and I definitely haven't really read. My prediction was correct that I sort of just needed some time to do nothing. Caleb got home, we took Avi out, we made like a firecracker meatball dish, which was really good. And I did read the first 26 pages of Everyone on This Train is a Suspect. Like I said, it's book 2, so this time they are on a train and everyone is a suspect. And I'm guessing someone's going to die and our main character is now going to try to solve the murder once again. The writing is the same as the first book, where it's sort of like humorous, lighthearted, and talking to us about the situation as it unfolds. And I'm excited about it. I'm going to try to read for 1 hour before I go to bed. Because right now I have read for an hour and 25 minutes today so far, and I want to try to get to at least 2 hours because I don't want to put too much on my plate tomorrow, even though all I really have to do tomorrow is my book club discussion at like, I think it was 6 p.m. So I have all day to read, but in theory, I still don't want to give myself too much. So yeah.
Hello.
Caleb, what are we gonna do?
We're gonna go upstairs, we're gonna read a little bit, we're gonna unwind. What time is it? 10 o'clock?
Yeah.
I've got probably a good 2 hours in me.
Bullshit, you do? You mean 2 minutes? I'm gonna try to stay up for an hour and read. That's what my hope is. But who knows? Maybe I have been so emotionally high strung today that I will only have 15 minutes. We'll see. And we'll deal with the consequences in the morning. It's like 70 degrees outside, so we are getting some of our hours in today outside. Let's talk about how many hours I have to read today, because yesterday just wasn't it, okay? So I ended up reading for 2 hours and 9 minutes yesterday out of the required 4 hours and 42 minutes. So yikes, right? Today's requirement is 2 hours and 43 minutes, and now I'm adding on 2 hours and 33 minutes. So now, today, I have to read for 5 hours and 16 minutes. It was a lot of math, don't worry. Just know that today I have to read for 5 hours and 16 minutes. But honestly, it's so nice outside, and I'm hardly even concerned. Already today, I've read for an hour and 44 minutes, and the book in question is actually Everyone on This Train is a Suspect by Benjamin Stevenson. I have only a little bit left, and I should finish this relatively quickly. So, lots of birds out today. Wow. What a time to be alive. I'm gonna sit here and finish this book. I'll come back and give you some final thoughts, but up until this point, I'm having a great time. I think it's exactly what I needed to kind of break the almost slumpy feeling that I was getting from the book that wouldn't burn. So I'm glad I chose this. The only thing about this story that I can't really figure out if I like or not is the constant like talking to us in terms of relating this book to the previous book, because like our main character is the author of this book and it's the sequel, so the same narrator wrote and narrated the first book. So there are a lot of callbacks to the first book and a lot of narration of the process of writing this book, and I think that it is fun, but it also is a little bit overdone, I think, in some ways. Like, it's just brought up a little too many times, in my opinion, but also it just adds to the like silliness of how the story's told, and I'm not really like upset about it. I can tell that it won't be as good as the first one, in my opinion, but I'm also having a great time. So that's really what I'm reading it for, and it's delivering so far. Obviously, it's coming to like the climax of the whole mystery, and we're gonna figure some things out really soon, so I am really excited because the last book's plot twists were just really, really surprising. So yeah, I'm gonna go finish this, and then I'll come back and update you. Everyone clap. I worked out today. While I worked out, I started the next book of this video, which is Ripe by Sarah Rose Etter. Before we talk about this, though, let me tell you about Everyone on This Train is a Suspect, because I finished this one while we were sitting outside, so that's partly why I look flushed and a little bit odd, but also I just worked out, so I don't know. I felt like I looked better in the mirror than I do in my viewfinder right now, so hopefully it's not too bad, but also, this is life. I'm going to give this one a solid 4. Since it's a mystery book, there's not too much that I can talk about in terms of the plot in the storyline, but I had a lot of fun with it. I'm trying not to compare it too much to book one because obviously they're different stories, different characters, but I think the overall storyline and like intricateness of the plot of the first book, here I am comparing them, was just a little bit more thought out than this, but that doesn't take away from the excitement and all of the fun twists that came with this story as well. I just think that it could have been a little bit longer. I think we could have sat and like stewed over who did what and who was or was not involved, and I think that was my only drawback, honestly. But ultimately it gave me exactly what I wanted, and I feel good about it. It's like a 4. Now we are starting Ripe by Sarah Rose Etter. I was listening to it on audio because it was available on Libby. I always say Libby. Why the hell? Because it was available on Libby, and since I listened to it while I worked out, now I already am at 4 hours and 26 minutes of reading today. Wow, what a time to be alive. I'm going to hit that goal. It was 5 hours and something. I don't remember, but I'm definitely gonna hit that later because I am not done reading for the day. According to the audiobook, I am 39% of the way through. This book is not a happy one, okay? It follows our main character who is working in Silicon Valley for this like big tech company, and it kind of just is a slice of life story of like her working at a job that she doesn't like. She works with people that she views as fake and just really part of the like hustle culture and not genuine. A word that keeps popping up into my head when listening to this woman's life is futile. Like she feels like everything is so disjointed. Like the people that she is surrounding herself with at work are complaining about like the types of snacks that are offered to them in their meetings, while there are literal homeless people outside like picking through garbage. And the like comparison between what she sees and what she's living is like really jarring. And I think that this book is doing a really good job at talking about those disparities in such a like depressive way. This book wasn't on my TBR at all this month. I quite literally just walked upstairs to my library and looked at my shelf and tried to pick a red book because I'm part of Team Blood for Realmathon this month. And this one was available for audio on Libby, and I've wanted to read it for a while. The like sort of more serious tones of it sounded like I could be in the mood for it. So I ended up picking this up and I'm enjoying it so far. It definitely is like a heavier read. I can tell that it's going to be a little bit difficult, but I am looking forward to continuing. Caleb just got home from work. All of the pets are ready for him and for us to commence our evening routine. So that's what we'll do. I'll come back in a little bit. I will definitely be reading at least an hour more of this at some point tonight. So yeah, I'll see you soon.
Hello.
Hello. Hello, pets.
Hi, pets.
Hi, good morning. Welcome to the final day. Little did you or I know that yesterday was Wednesday, and that means that it's Love is Blind Day. So the hour that I was supposed to read last night was actually spent watching the 1 hour and 30-minute reunion for the finale of the season. So obviously I didn't read. And by the time it was over, it was like 11:15 and it was time for bed. But to make up for it, sorry, Caleb started his own business and he just got done with one of his first clients. He's like a true girl boss and I'm very proud of him. And he was just calling me to tell me how the job went. It went well. Anyways, carrying over from yesterday, in order to complete the 5 hours and 16 minutes, I had to read for about 50 minutes today. And I will have you know that I just sat and I finished Ripe, which we are going to talk about because it was an awful decision that I made to pick up that book right now. But I read for an hour and 48 minutes this morning. So I finished that book. I also finished Serious Concerns by Wendy Copes, just that poetry collection that I mentioned earlier in this video. And so we're ending this vlog with a positive note in terms of like completion. Like I completed all of the hours that I was supposed to read and then some for this week of reading. The point of challenge vlogs, especially challenge vlogs with this concept, is just to be more mindful of how and where I'm putting my attention, trying to rewire my brain to not just sit and doom scroll and kind of make myself think twice of like, wait, if I'm scrolling right now, I could be reading right now, or I could be doing something else that is more beneficial for my mind and my mental space. And because I was being more cognizant of that this week, I read all of these books on top of finishing this one. This one was only like 42 pages or so at the beginning of the vlog, but I started and finished all of these books, and that amounts to 1,508 pages. So 1,500 pages this week. I think that's pretty good. This vlog was a mixed bag though, like an emotional roller coaster of a week, honestly. Let's talk about Ripe really quick, because this was a choice that I made to pick this up yesterday. Like, you know the concept when you are kind of sad or emotional and you want to just listen to sad or emotional music music because that's all that you want to do. I think that's why I gravitated towards this book, because I was like, oh, it's a more like serious contemporary fiction book. And I knew it had trigger warnings for like suicide and depression and unplanned pregnancy, but I don't think that I was like actually aware of where the story would go. And that being said, this was not what I should have been reading. Because honestly, this book, like, it was really good, okay? Before I say anything negative, because it's not even negative, because I think what the author was trying to do with this book, I think she did with flying colors. It was written really well. I think that it was a really, like, close look at all of those things. But the main character that we're following has, like, the most bleak outlook on life that I have read in a very long time. And I know that there are so many people out there that have this viewpoint of the world and live in situations like this, dealing with the housing crisis. This took place in the beginning of the pandemic. It follows all of these toxic relationships with herself, with her friends, with her family, and also with her work environment. There's religious guilt that gets brought up. This book has no hope. Wow, oh my God. The only hope in this book is literally the concept of suicide. Do not read this book if you are at all in a mind space where you are struggling emotionally or mentally. Please don't. Again, I think this book was written really well. I am giving it like a 4 or 4.5 stars because I think it did a great job at telling this woman's story. But man, it was a difficult read, okay? It was difficult. So take that with what you will. I'm glad I read it. It's been on my shelf for a while, but I'm definitely gonna need like a palate cleanser after this one. So we read this book. This was a 4.5 stars. We read this poetry collection, which I'm not rating. I did have a good time with it though. We also read Crying in H Mart by Michelle Zauner. This was a 5-star read. We read Everyone on This Train is a Suspect by Benjamin Stevenson. This was like a 4 or 4.5. And then we also read The Book That Wouldn't Burn by Mark Lawrence. And I'm ended up giving this like a 2.5 to a 3.5. Like, I don't know, it literally fluctuates. I'll settle with a solid 3-star, okay? Because if I focus on the things that I really am angry about, it will fluctuate down to like a 2.5. But when I focus on the things that I think he did really well and that I really liked the certain elements in the story, it can fluctuate up to like a 3.5. But honestly, like, I don't foresee myself continuing the series at least anytime soon, unless I get like FOMO when it comes out and I all of a sudden just, I don't know, pick it up, which I don't think will happen, but who knows, it could happen. All in all, a very like mixed bag emotionally of a week for me. I don't really know what to say in terms of like conclusion for this video, because obviously I think that the challenge was successful, but at what cost, basically? Wow. At the very least, I'm really, really happy that I read Crying in H Mart finally. It's been a long time coming. This is phenomenal. If you take anything out of this video, I would say this is a definite recommendation, and this series by Benjamin Stevenson is so much fun, and you should pick it up if you like a mystery. But yeah, I think that's it. I think I'm gonna go start a new cozy mystery because it is, I don't know if you can hear it, but it's starting to like severely thunderstorm. There's a warning right now of the thunderstorm that's about to happen. It literally looks like it's 7 p.m. That's how gloomy and dark it is right now. Like, I'm using a little light because it's so dark, and it is noon. It should be so bright right now. I'm gonna go make a coffee and just cozy up and get ready to read a new mystery under these thunderstorms. Okay, that actually sounds really nice. Thank you so much for being here and sticking through this vlog with me. If you are still here, let me know down in the comments what book you would be most interested in picking up, or some thoughts that you had on the books that I read during this week's video. If you don't know what else to say, then leave me the train emoji down below in the comments. And while you're down there, please do subscribe and like the video. I always appreciate your support. And of course, be kind to one another, and happy reading. Bye. Also, if you are still watching, I have a hint for you if you are participating in Realmathon. This week's hint involves who has been attacking each team the least. Since I am the co-host for Team Blood, the team that has been attacking us the least is Team Creation.